Great, well, hi. Thank you so much for coming and joining us here today with a project that you might not completely understand but want to be a part of. So we really appreciate that kind of spirit. I'm going to try and explain a little bit about what the 100 Hours Project is and what we've all been doing, along with Leonie, so that you do have a bit more of an understanding before we begin. So around a year ago, Leonie and I met up, and after kind of many conversations, we decided that we wanted to really find some way of asking some new questions about material things, and that we also wanted to find new ways of working within our own kind of academic sphere, which is history. We're both 18th century historians. We were inspired really to begin this project, as many of you know from reading T.J. Clarke's book, the art historian T.J. Clarke, where he returns to one painting in the Getty Museum again and again to try and understand it. So we were really compelled, really. We found this idea of return really compelling. We wanted to try and use it in our own practice somehow. So we wanted to start a project which would really combine the analytical power of close looking with the ritual of repetition, and finally to think about sustained attention in order to think through things and think about things. And we really didn't want to work just the two of us. As much as we get on, we wanted to broaden it out and meet new people who weren't historians, and definitely weren't 18th century historians. So we decided to work with a much larger group. We found 10 people, 10 like-minded people who are from a real range of disciplines to work with us, and it's been a real joy to work with them. And today they're going to present some of their findings. So what's happened? Well, a year ago when this all began, we sent these 10 researchers out into the UCL's collections, which are incredible and diverse, I think we'll all agree. And they had to pick out an object which was outside of their specialism and to which they'd feel happy returning to again and again and again over a year. And you'll see some of those objects on display today, so do please feel free to go and take a close look yourself. So we met regularly to discuss, and through this, we collaboratively collated 100 hours of close looking and discussion. And we really wanted to help researchers in these moments of return and repetition to these particular objects that they'd chosen. So we set up these discussion sessions with people from other fields, other specialisms, to broaden again the conversation and broaden our own outlook. We had Ludovic Coupé from anthropology. We had literary scholars such as Catherine Richardson, who's here in the room today, Chris Lataris. We had a practicing artist, Sal Randolph. We had historians of science, Simon Werrett and D. Graham Burnett. And after each meeting, we asked the researchers to return to their object, think through the approach they'd been given by the discussant, and respond in 500 words. And by doing that, we were able to record our research and our hunches in real time. So the short papers that you're going to hear today are the culmination of those hunches. It's going to be a really exciting day, but I would stress that it's early stages. These are tentative steps, and we really hope that you will greet them in that spirit.
Okay, well, yeah, so as Kate was saying, really, this group has, over a course of a year, worked collaboratively, and we see today, really, is just a continuation of that. And for this to work well, we really need you all to participate. And we have, as I say, only 7 hours to deal with, but we have lots of time within that for questions and discussion, and we really invite you to join us in that. So just now, I think you all need to identify your object for today. At the start of 100 Hours, we used this £10 note, which is an object that we felt that we all as a group could look at and think about together. So if I could ask you to reach into your pockets or your bags or whatever about your person and pull out something like this, something ordinary, something you see all the time. Oh, guys. I recommend the tenner, by the way. There's a lot to look at. And once you have it in your hands,
This is clearly a huge assumption that anyone has cash on them.
Once you have it in your hand, have a really good look at it. we really want today to begin, as we began 100 hours, by giving some serious attention to an everyday artefact. I'll just let you have a little look for just a minute. And while you're doing that, I suppose I really briefly want to explain what our intentions and hopes are for 100 hours from this point onwards. The project was devised as a way of critically assessing the practices and frameworks researchers employ when exploring material things. Repetitive engagement with a single object has encouraged each project member to confront objects themselves and the methods that scholars use to study the material world. But we have deliberately, really, disrupted our usual approaches to research by imposing a ritual of repetition on ourselves, one which requires a non-linear, object-centred way of working. So we've basically flouted the familiar in favour of experimentation. And in doing so, we think that the 100 Hours method has begun to identify some assumptions around intimacy, agency and materiality that shape material culture research today. And by interrogating those assumptions today, we hope that this way of working can offer new ways of thinking about things. But I just want to, before I move on to housekeeping, I just want to say a very big thank you to UCL Museums and Collections, the department which I'm also a part of. None of this would have been possible without their fantastic support and their objects. And in particular, Nick Booth, Mark Carnell, Ling Chu, Sabadra Das, Andrea Fredrickson, Delphine Mercier, and Alice Stevenson have been really, really supportive in making sure that our researchers can just look at their objects whenever they need to. So thank you very much for that. And on the rather boring note of housekeeping, I better tell you that if an alarm goes off, it is real and we do need to exit, in which case you can go out either of these doors here and straight out onto the front quad. If you need the loser tour, the doors at the back, straight down the cloisters towards the Octagon Gallery, and the ladies are on the right just before you reach the gallery, and the gents are up the stairs left out of the gallery. Also, we have museum objects in the room. We're really lucky to have them so we can share them with you today, but we do need to keep coffees, teas, food, anything like that away from them. So we've got catering over there and objects over here, and we're hoping that the twain shan't meet. And also, we need to just make you aware that we are audio recording a lot of today so that we can again have a record of this discussion that's taking place. So if you could be aware of that. And also we have filming taking place. So if you really don't want to be in a film of this project, then just raise your hand and I can make sure that you're kept well away from the camera. And that's just about it, I think. So now it just leaves me to hand over to Professor Margot Finn from History at UCL, who will be kindly chairing our first session of the day and our first 4 papers. So thank you.